Oh, did you lose your toy? Here, it's right here. Yes, you can have it. Hello, I'm Jess, and today I thought that we would change it up a little. I have been posting more about my art on this channel. That being said, with all of the things going on in the world right now, I've had to spend a lot of time at home, of course, and that also means with my dog, which you can probably hear him chewing on something right now. So my puppy, his name is P. I call him a puppy even though he is going to be turning 2 in July, which is mind-blowing to me that I've been with him for this long already. I adopted him on February 18th of 2019. Yeah, so we've been together around when he was, wait, that's not in July. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, 7 months old? Apparently when he was 7 months old. I thought it was 5 for some reason, but 7 months old. And yeah, we've been together ever since. I think it's really exciting to get a dog or to own a dog, and I see a lot of videos about dogs, especially like on meme pages or like dogs being cute, things like that. But I think that sometimes people use dogs for their own purposes, in the sense that they do it for like, not on purpose at all, but potentially like selfish reason. So they really want a dog for X reason. And that's totally okay. I'm not saying that that's wrong. But I think that they only think that far, and they just say like, I really want a dog, and they don't think about all the other things that go into it. And I know that I haven't in the past. So I'll start this out by talking about my other dog, Umo. I think I've talked about him in the past in a video about my travels. But Umo was my puppy, and I unfortunately did have to sell him to another home. At the time, I was traveling extensively, and I was going to bring him with me. I had gotten him a puppy passport, gotten him all of his vaccinations, everything he needed, and it turned out that it just wasn't going to be the right environment for him. Dogs do really well when they have their own space, and we were just gonna be going in a car, and his space would probably be like a crate or something of the sort in the car, and it would make things difficult for him, it would make things difficult for us. So I just didn't feel like that was the right environment for him. So that's what happened with Umo, unfortunately. It was a really tough decision, don't get me wrong. This wasn't something that I just was instantly like, oh, I'm gonna just sell him. It was really hard. I lost money from the situation as well, because I had bought him, I bought training, I bought boarding when I had to go on when I was on a different trip. So I lost money out of the entire situation, but that wasn't the concern that I had. What I was mostly bummed about was that I was losing my puppy, and I really did love him. I kind of told myself I wouldn't get another dog only because I loved him so much and I couldn't see myself with another dog. He had these weird antics and just this goofiness about him. I'll try to find some videos or photos of him if I can find him. But even in having Umo, I learned a lot. He actually got bit, and we had to take him to the hospital. So that was a whole situation. It was a lot of caring for him, and it was difficult. So fast forward now to 2019, I was in the situation where I ended up with P. He was adopted. He was adopted from the San Diego Humane Society, which I just recently found out is not like interconnected. They're all different humane societies, and they don't work together, and they all just call themselves the Humane Society, but they're not all the same, which like kind of blew my mind, because I went to one in LA when we moved here, and I was talking to them, and I was like, oh, can't you just like look up the record? And they were like, we're not the same. So that was interesting. Anyway, I ended up with P. I was in a situation where the person that I was living with at the time was not taking care of him, and he was like giving him the wrong foods and just not doing right by him, and that was really unfortunate. I took him out of that situation. Luckily, I was able to do that, and he has been with me ever since. So him and I have so much fun, and again, I know that it's really enjoyable to have a dog, but there are things that we don't think about, and I think this is at the top of my mind right now just because of things that are actually going on with P. So I'm going to talk about those now. A couple of things that we don't think about. So number one is how much money a dog actually costs. Generally speaking, if you're adopting, it's cheaper to adopt. It's for P, it was like $90 something. If you're buying a a dog from somewhere like a breeder, then it's probably more expensive and you usually have to get them shipped to you or pick them up somehow. But I would suggest adopting if you're able to. I know that sometimes it's hard because people want dogs that are slightly younger, but it sucks for those dogs because they might be euthanized, or, you know, they just need a home as well. And although it's nice to have a dog that doesn't have any issues, you could really be helping a life. That's one thing to consider. Again, it is also slightly cheaper because it's like a $90 fee for like the nicer dogs, as in like the younger dogs or the dogs that are maybe like people want more often, versus the really old or the ones that have a lot of medical issues. The other thing with the Humane Society, or a lot of places, at least at the Humane Society that I adopted P from, was that if they found that there was a medical condition, so you were supposed to take the dog to the vet within 2 weeks, and then from there, if you found that there was a medical condition that the Humane Society did not yet treat, then they would treat that within like 3 months or something like that, and you would have no cost of that. So that was really nice. And the first vet visit was free, so they gave you either a vet to go visit or a coupon, so your first vet visit could be free. That does go into the fact that vet visits are not free and they are expensive. Not incredibly expensive, but you're going to generally walk out of that office spending at least about $200 because of maybe some examinations or because of some sort of injection that they might need. So you have to get like rabies or Bordetella vaccinations, things like that, that you might need to get your dog or will need to get your dog. And it's really important to be keeping up on those things. Just like we have to keep up on our vaccinations, they should keep up on theirs. They often won't be allowed into things like training or just like hotels or apartments or anything like that, or even dog parks if you don't have the proper vaccinations. And it just protects your dog as well and yourself. So I would highly recommend getting those vaccinations and getting a physical for your dog. And physicals are supposed to be yearly, just like for humans. And if you are not going to your physicals, then you should be doing that as well yearly, but really you should be checking on your dog yearly. That's something else to consider. Obviously there's the things like food. If your dog is, you know, eating really quickly, you might need to get a special bowl for them. They also have like, for I think $100 or so, feeders that are automatic. So that's another option, but those are all things that you will need to do. I have just like a little bowl for P, like a set thing, and even that was expensive. But obviously they need to eat. The food can be expensive, but you do want to invest in good food for your dog. I know that there are a ton of things out there like Just Food for Dogs or Nom Nom Now and services like that. Personally, I don't buy those. I use Blue, but I would just look into what's good for your dog and talk to your vet about it. My vet suggested Blue, so that's why I stick with Blue. And P really enjoys it. There are also things that I think people don't think about, and I know that I didn't think about and my parents didn't think about until they found out that it was available, like insurance. So there are types of insurance. I know like one of them that I use is called Pets Best. It basically allows you to take all of the worry out of these vet visits, and you can pick and choose which things you want to cover. So for example, I don't anticipate that P will have a lot of moments where he's needing to instantly go to a vet or like is getting hit by a car, so I don't have it cover examination fees, which is a thing. So usually it's like $60 to get an exam, to get like an x-ray or to like just see what's going on with whatever's happening. But I do have it cover whatever the treatment is, if that makes sense. So the treatments, so for example, let's say P gets bit, the examination might be $60, and then to do the surgery on the bite, like let's say his arm is like bleeding like crazy, that might cost like $3,000. So I would only have to pay 10% of that $3,000. So I would have to pay a little. I chose my plan to be 90% coverage, but I would still have to pay that examination fee out of pocket. So there's tons of options out there. I highly recommend it. My plan is $45 a month, and I know that I can instantly take him to the vet and make sure that everything is okay, which is another point to make, that sometimes things go wrong, not by any fault of ours, just because that's life. So P has had a really great life so far. He is almost 2, so he's still extremely young. He's gone through training, which might I add is another like $200 for 6 weeks of training, and he's still not perfect. He barks all the time. I have to have a lot of patience with him and keep working with him daily to make sure that he's the dog that I want him to be, and he'll obviously calm down as he gets older, but it is taking time. So all that being said, I am doing my best to make sure that he is not getting into things, and that if he does, he knows how to leave it, and that we are training those types of things into him. But sometimes things just happen. So just recently I noticed that P had a little thing happening on his eye, and I wasn't really sure what it was. About a year ago, it looked like he had a lot of sleep in his eye, like an excessive amount of it. So I just thought that was weird, and I had told the vet about that. Now fast forward a year, that has gone away, but now this thing has shown up and I didn't know what it was. Finally, I called the vet about 2 days later, and it turns out that it was a tumor. That's what we think so far, at least. We're going back in next week to do a revisit on all of this, but it seems like it's probably a tumor. Luckily it's benign, and it does happen in young dogs, so it just kind of happened. And it's not because of his diet, it's not because of anything he's gone into, it's not because of anything that's been happening in his life or that he's been exposed to. It's literally just because it was gonna happen no matter what. Luckily, the kind of tumor that he has is something that will just shrink and go away, and then it will never come back. That being said, it is another $200 for the medication and the examination fees. So, of course, those are things that we have to consider, that we need an extra savings for our dogs. All in all, this is just to say that there are a lot of things that go into having a dog. You have to think about, like, what time am I gonna be home? Am I gonna be able to feed them? Am I going to be able to take them on a walk today? And the answer to all those things need to be yes. You need to feed your dog, you need to take it on a walk, you need to give it attention. You can't just say, I'll do that later, I'll do that tomorrow. You need to do those things, otherwise you're not ready for a dog. I really personally enjoy having a camera for my dog. I just have a really cheap one that my mom had bought on Amazon, and it helps me because I have a home mode and away mode. So when I'm home, it doesn't record, and it just doesn't give me any kind of notifications. It knows that I'm home, and when I go away, I just click the away button and it notifies me whenever P moves. I don't have it recording, it just records like a 7-second snippet, and that will like delete every 30 days or something like that. But it's helpful so that when I'm out going to dinner or things like that, which obviously is not happening right now, but when I do those things, I know that he's okay, and that if there's something going on, I can instantly go home, which has never been the case, luckily. All of these things are a lot. You have to have a lot of patience, like I mentioned before, but that is also in exchange for the love and all of the things that come into having your pet. And I think that it's the most amazing trade-off ever. I would not reconsider for a second. I always want to have P in my life as long as I possibly can, and I want him to be happy and live a great life. So if you are able to do all of those things and commit to waking up when your pet decides that it's time to get up, and feeding them regularly, taking them on walks, giving them all of the attention that they deserve, and maybe even more, then you might be ready. But please do consider all of these things that I've talked about, and I'm sure there's plenty of things that I have forgotten about that I do or that I don't maybe know about. So if there are things that I'm forgetting, definitely leave them below so that we can help each other figure out what the best is for our pets. They really do deserve a lot. And again, if you are able to adopt, that is a really great way to help out. I know that especially in these times, there are a lot of shelters that are trying to close down so that humans have less exposure to COVID. That being said, the dogs need somewhere to go. So if you want to test run what it's like to have a dog while not having to deal with the expenses of a dog, maybe try fostering a dog and you can help them out that way. You know, you might be able to find someone, a friend or a loved one who does want a dog, and then you can say, hey, I have this great one here, where you can just help out for a month or two. And again, that would be obviously no cost to you because they would provide everything for you since it's not your dog. So that would also be really cool, and it's a really great way to help without making a full commitment, and just a little like trial run for free. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you guys get to see a lot more of P in my videos. He's nowhere near perfect, but we're trying to get there. Anything you want to say, Bubba? Alrighty, well, we will see you next time. Bye! Say bye!